So, as an engineer in obviously a room full of designers, I actually feel like I have to make a confession. I'm always wondering, why are we as engineers currently and collectively engaging in unsustainable design? Surely it's because we don't understand the life cycle of our creations. So take wind turbines, for example. They only last about 25 years, and after this, the blades end up in landfill or incineration because they're not able to be recycled yet. So we're facing mountains of these things coming in the coming years. So surely, if we had just taken life cycle thinking into account, if we had used, if the end of life of the blades was a design constraint, we wouldn't have this problem. Some people thought it was just too urgent to get wind energy out there and that somebody else could come up with a solution to this problem. So that's where the ReWind Network, the research group that I worked with, came in. So we were looking for what to do with wind turbine blades at the end of their life. And we wanted to build a pilot and ultimately maybe commercialize the business. So we very quickly chose repurposing over recycling so we could use the blade material intact. We came up with a whole heap of ideas, but we had to narrow them down to the most sustainable and the most marketable. So we had to come up with some design criteria. So first we looked at geometric shape matching, so looking at the segments of the blade and matching them to real life items. So for example, the root section looks a lot like a concrete culvert, and the tip section could be used as shelters. The second was substitution of materials. So the blades, even at the end of their life, they have a ton of fabulous engineering properties. They're durable. They can substitute steel girders or concrete blocks and other high CO2 materials. And the last thing we looked at is how could we use a ton of these things. So Ireland is building 3,000 kilometers of cycleways over the coming years. That's 1,000 additional bridges that are going to need to be built. And this is the perfect application, material substitution and a ready-made customer in the county councils. So and then we had to find a customer. So Cork County Council wanted to try something new, so they agreed to commission a bridge on one of their greenways in Middleton. These were the 3 blades that we sourced. 2 of them were going to go into the bridge, and the third one would be reverse engineered to feed into the design. So designing a bridge using a blade is really difficult. The geometry of the blade changes along the whole length of it. There was a bunch of reverse engineering we had to do, and the connections on the bridge had to be bespoke at every single deck connection point. But what we did try to do is make sure that the bridge was fully disassemblable at end of life, so we weren't creating the same problem that we were trying to fix. So this was us installing it, not me, but on January 2022, and it was installed in about 4 hours. Cork County Council was absolutely delighted. So we had our first pilot product, and we wanted to see then, should we commercialize this? So we started looking at, I did look at donut economics a bit, but I used the embedded systems model of sustainability, whereby like the earth contains the environment, which contains society, and only then can an economy exist. So using this framework, we assessed whether we should actually start a business. So I used life cycle assessment to see if it was actually better than a conventional bridge. We used the sustainable development goals and focused on the ones that Ireland needed help with in particular to see if there's social improvements. And only then did we look at the economics. And we did start a business out of it. We used our expertise in structural engineering, life cycle assessment, and wind energy to form a purpose-driven business by 3 engineers with life cycle thinking at the forefront. So this talk is about like bridges from wind turbines. How crazy is that? But hopefully you've seen it's actually not that crazy, and it can add some sustainability improvements. But the bridges aren't going to use up all the wind turbine blades, so we had to come up with some other products. So we're working with Simon Dennehy from Perch to build furniture from the offcuts of the bridges, the tip sections. And these are 3 pieces of furniture that went into a greenway in Achill there in September, and a few other concept designs. And then we're working with ESB to look at other infrastructure such as telecoms towers, and this would be the perfect application. So Ireland's going to see about 450 blades per year decommission, and we want to try to repurpose as many of these as possible. That's our goal. So going back to life cycle thinking, so we know if you use life cycle thinking in the planning and design phase, you can get the most carbon reduction potential. So we really need to start understanding and seeking out waste material that can be used so that we can specify this at the design phase. So I'll put the challenge back to you guys as designers. We've made bridges from wind turbine blades, so I want to know what you guys can do next. So I think all of us, I challenge y'all to look at what waste material you can add to your next design, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. So thanks very much.